Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Taylor Chastain Griffin, and I'm so excited to talk with you all today on a topic that is so near and dear to my heart. It's on advocating for your dog, how to do that by recognizing their stress and anxiety, and how we can respond to them, whether you're working with a therapy dog or it's your own pet dog outside of the therapy animal context. This is one of the number one ways that we can build our relationships with the canines that we share our lives with. So, a little bit about me. My name is Dr. Taylor Chastain Griffin. You can see through the pictures that I am a certified dog lady. I have a background as both a dog trainer and someone who's worked with therapy animals both professionally and as a volunteer. I started off my career knowing that I just so believed in the intersection of human animal interaction. Like I said, was a dog trainer doing everything from puppy play, socialization to the rehabilitation of really reactive dogs to specializing in helping other people prepare therapy animals. I went on to become a mental health counselor, and I thought that I would just be in private practice with my menagerie of different animals. But I quickly learned that there was just so much advocacy needed at this intersection, especially when it comes to therapy animals, that I decided to go on and obtain my doctorate with a focus on the human animal bond within research psychology. So I'm so fortunate to have positions at two international organizations. Number one is Pet Partners. We're an organization, a nonprofit that assists with thousands of handlers who volunteer their time with their animals across the globe. And we launched our sister organization called the Association of Animal Assisted Intervention Professionals, or AAAIP, just a few years ago to serve professionals who integrate therapy animals into their work. So, mental health counselors, occupational therapists, educators, just to name a few of the fields where this intervention occurs. But what's probably most important for you all to know about me is that I have shared my life with many, many dogs, both as a child and as an adult. We've always had many pets, but you can see this picture of me here in the bottom right-hand corner. I started having at least 10 dogs in my home at all times in my early 20s, everything from foster dogs to therapy dogs in training and retired therapy dogs. I currently have 11 who share our farm here with me and who I learn from every day. So it's probably no surprise to you why I am a big fan of learning how to speak canine. I think it's one of the best ways that we can establish our relationships with our animals and build that trust. We know that dogs communicate almost solely through body language, and dogs have become so adept at even learning our body language. It's amazing to watch how dogs pick up on the way we communicate and try to adapt to us. I always tell the story of my Shih Tzu Walter. He's a very old man now, but he has such a funny habit of if I'm in a bad mood that I might not even be aware of, or if I've gotten an email that's bothered me, I look down at Walter and his body language has completely changed. He has his tail tucked. He looks like he's in trouble, and Walter never gets in trouble with me. So he's just picking up on my energy and showing it on his body. And so I owe it to Walter and to dogs like him to pick up on their energy and to adjust our communication accordingly. And we know our ability to read and respond to our dog's body language gives us the ability to really be their advocate and to adjust their environment as needed. I also so often tell people that behavioral problems in dogs can be really mitigated early on if we understand what they're communicating to us. So, an example would be something I work on quite often as a trainer would be kind of leash reactivity. A dog gets put on leash and their behavior changes. Well, from the very beginning, if we see how the dog might respond to that leash, how the dog is conceptualizing the leash, and make some changes, we can stop that problem from escalating. I have to share this picture because anytime we talk about dog body language, I have to acknowledge and most dog people, so many of you who are joining today or watching this recording can attest to this. You'll see a picture posted on Facebook or on social media, and you as the dog person says, "Oh no, that dog is not happy." So you see this picture, just a snapshot in time. I'm sure this is a lovely golden retriever who probably has a great relationship with the toddler. But in this picture, we see many stress signals coming from the dog: the whale eye, the worried brow, the tight mouth. And so we know that in this snapshot in time, the dog is experiencing some degree of stress. But how often do you see pictures posted where someone will say, "How cute," and they've missed the signs? We want to make sure that we are the kind of dog people who would see this and then step in to provide the space needed so that everyone is safe and happy. There are many common stress signals that I want to talk about today. And of course, keeping this a very brief presentation, a very general overview, but some things to look out for with your dog. Yawning, excessive yawning when they're not tired, or lip licking when they're not having a treat. Behaviors like pacing, panting, body trembling or shaking. What we saw in that last picture, whale eye, so when the whites of their eyes are showing. We look at their brow. Is there tension in their brow? Are they vocalizing? Do they have a tight mouth? There are some more excessive stress signals like drooling or vocalization to look out for, and even things like excessive shedding. Now, I have to note that excessive shedding can happen even with positive stress. So if I take my dog to the pet store, for example, and they're really excited, then their cortisol still might be increasing. They still might have some of that excessive shedding. So we're looking for how these body language signs occur, and we're looking at the dog as the individual. Because while we know these are common stress signals, we also know it is a very individualized thing. I'm going to show you an example with my dog Lucy, who is just my heart dog, the queen of my life. She passed away about a year and a half ago now, but we shared a glorious 15 years together. And she was funny because her body language would be slightly different than what I just talked about. I took many canine body language courses while Lucy was in my life, and I would look at her and say, "Well, you don't really act like that when you're stressed." So not all dogs display the same stress cues, and some dogs display mild stress cues and recover. Some dogs will get very stressed and not show many cues. And we don't know it until they've become very stressed. But I'm going to show you with Lucy. I had an assignment for a course where they asked me to do a petting consent test. This means that I would reach out, pet her head, pause, and see what she did. Did she move forward for more petting? Did she do nothing? Did she move away? So let me show you what my little Lucy did, and then we'll talk about it. So you can see here with Lucy, I pet her. She did do a little head tuck, but then she rolled over onto her back and opened her mouth. Now, if you were just someone who was coding dog behavior, you would say those were signs of stress. I know Lucy, and Lucy was flirting. She liked to be pet. She would do this quite often. I rewarded the heck out of these behaviors. If she was not getting attention, if we were on a therapy animal visit, she would often roll over, kind of be silly, do these things that she had learned throughout her life, got her attention. So when we talk about knowing body language, we should know it in general, and then we should know specific to our animal. Also, if you're working with a therapy animal, chances are they're very eager to please. And so sometimes stress cues can be a little bit more challenging to know. So we have some free resources available at AAAIPonline.org that you can download and fill out. I encourage you, anyone who's working with your dog in a therapy animal setting, or anyone who just wants to build your relationship with your dog, work through some of these. So these are body language inventories. Green meaning everything's good in your dog's life. Red meaning they're really stressed, and yellow being that transitional period. What does your dog look like during each of these stages? What does their head look like? What is their core, hindquarters? What is their general behavior? Have on file, like a scientist would, even though it kind of sounds silly sometimes, just this exercise of knowing what your dog looks like in each of these states. Another tool that you can use that we highly encourage is available on our website is the emotional response tracker for therapy animals. So something that tends to cause stress in animals, therapy animals or not, is human emotion. So what does your animal respond to like when you're feeling emotion, a sadness, happy, excitement, and how does your animal respond if that emotion is being displayed in somebody else? It's quite interesting because it tends to be different. I have some dogs who, if I'm crying or sad, they're all over me. They're trying to take care of me. And, they might not have that same reaction to a stranger. And I have some dogs who are quite the opposite, that if I'm crying or sad, they kind of look at me like, Mom's got this. But if someone else starts to cry, they're going to be very on top of them, comforting, all of those cues. So this is just another tool that shows that you've proactively considered these things. Finally, we suggest people fill out this reward system tracker for animals. If you know your animal's body language and you're advocating for it, sometimes that includes the inclusion of rewards, of treats. So if I'm out, for example, and my dog sees something that she finds slightly stressful, I might bring out a piece of a hot dog for her and say, oh, it's okay, focus, look, do a few cues and get a treat. We're making it a positive experience. We also want to keep in mind that just like humans, dogs have different preferences. So while some dogs want a treat, some dogs want a toy, some dogs want positive social interaction, that there's different things to be found rewarding. So fill this out and see what you learn. All of these are strategies for mitigating stress in our canine partners. And just a few more strategies to drive home before we wrap up today. I tell everyone who's on this journey, whether it's working with a therapy dog or just training a new dog in your home, baby steps, baby steps, baby steps. It's so important. Oftentimes, we're so excited about this new animal that we might accidentally flood them and do too much at once. I have a dog, Nora, who I'm training right now, who she's 6 months old. I want her to be a therapy dog. So my inclination might be, let's go out to a few public settings. Let's go sit at a restaurant outside that's dog friendly. But we have to remember that at this age, we want to set her up for success. Maybe a 20-minute visit. We stop while she's ahead. We don't do too much. I also want to talk about the fact that training methods should be built on trust. So we want to avoid any methods that use aversive equipment like shock collars or prong collars, that our dogs are learning that we're speaking the same language. We're advocating for them. We're not using dominance. We're using relationship to start to speak the same language. I mentioned earlier, always ending on success is such a big point here. When I'm training group classes, at the very end of class, I say, we're going back to kindergarten. We're going to ask them to do something your dog knows how to do so that they end on having the successful, positive experience. It sounds silly, but we want to talk about your dog's self-care plan. It's so important, especially if you do therapy animal work, that, as your dog goes out and interacts with the very human world, you're doing things to pour back into their cup, even though they might love their therapy animal work, and hopefully they do, it's taxing. It's a lot for us to do together. So for an example, I had a dog, Charlie, a bulldog, who after our visits, we had a very strong pup cup routine. We were going and getting her a pup cup, and then she'd have a few days of rest before a new visit. And finally, maintain realistic expectations. And all that I've learned in the human animal interaction space, I think us humans tend to have very unrealistic expectations for how our dogs should act. There's been an over reliance on obedience and on rules in the dog space, which we really just want our dogs to be healthy, happy. And we see that once they trust us and they're healthy and happy, they tend to behave how we want them to, anyways. If you need more resources, both of our organizations can help you. Pet Partners has a real focus on serving volunteer handlers, and AAAIP has a focus on serving professionals who work with their animals as a part of their vocational work. We also have an online course at both Pet Partners and AAAIP that's a deep dive into the topic of understanding canine body language. You can see a screenshot here of what that course looks like. So if you or someone needs to learn more about what each cue means, generally, then this is a great course. So I appreciate your time today. If you ever have questions, please reach out to me. You can see my email address on the screen. I have a YouTube channel that I'm building, Dr. Dog Lady on YouTube, where I talk about some of these topics. And I just wish you the best in your journey of building your relationship with your animal.